4 years ago, in late October, I picked up a new job at a gas station. My friends were throwing a big Halloween party on the 31st. I didn't have any vacation time, so I had to work that night. At least, I had most of the day to hand out candy and watch some movies. I went into work at 8 p.m. The streets were quiet. Cars were few, kids running around trick-or-treating. I hoped the gas station wouldn't be busy, and thankfully, it wasn't. Only a couple dozen cars came in during the first hour. By 10 p.m., even fewer. The roads were almost empty. I kept seeing a police car patrolling every 15 minutes. Aside from that, it was dead outside. I grabbed some boxes from the back, restocking the shelves. Then, I heard the bell over the front door. I turned and saw 3 men walk in, full Halloween costumes, masks covering their faces. One dressed as Michael Myers, the others unrecognizable. I could tell immediately they weren't kids. One had a long beard, tattoos creeping up his neck. I greeted them, but they didn't respond. Just a quick glance, then silence. I moved to the checkout counter, keeping an eye on them. They wandered to the candy aisle, grabbed a bag of dum-dums, and tossed it on the counter. They paid in cash, but one of them, his eyes, locked on me. Frustrated, angry, maybe both. I finished the transaction, told them to have a good night. Then, my stomach dropped. The man who was staring suddenly moved around the counter, shoved me to the ground. I tried to stay calm, told them to take the money. I wouldn't stop them. But it wasn't about the money. Another man circled past the register, forced zip ties around my hands, lifted me to my feet. I was completely helpless. They dragged me through the store and out the entrance. At the edge of the parking lot, I noticed an old car parked in the grass. Then, a glaring light shone over us. A police car, pulling into the lot. The 3 men dropped me and sprinted to their car. I don't know if it wouldn't start or if they just gave up. Backup arrived within seconds, and they were caught. Earlier, the police had received a report of 3 men in costumes offering candy to kids, trying to lure them away from homes. What they wanted with me or the children, we'll never know. None of them confessed. It's strange, but I feel lucky. Because if I had handed them that candy, and later learned it was used to kidnap children, I don't think I would have forgiven myself. Thankfully, that night ended the way it did.
Someone was waiting in my back seat.
It was just another delivery, or at least, that's what I thought. Around 11 p.m., I was driving through the quiet streets, music playing softly in the background, delivering an order from the sandwich shop where I worked. Nothing unusual, just another late-night run. Until the red light. There was no one else at the intersection, not a single car. Yet the light refused to change. Seconds stretched into what felt like minutes. I kept staring at it, uneasy for reasons I couldn't explain. Then, a car pulled up beside me. Black, old model. Windows so heavily tinted I couldn't see a thing inside. I glanced over for just a moment, long enough to feel it. That feeling, like I wasn't alone anymore. The air felt heavier, colder. When the light finally turned green, I drove forward. They didn't. In my rearview mirror, I saw them still sitting there, unmoving. I told myself I was overthinking it, but deep down, I knew I wasn't. A few minutes later, I turned into the housing section where the delivery address was located. Calling it a neighborhood wouldn't be accurate. It was just a short line of about 10 houses leading to a dead end. And something was wrong. Every single house was dark. Not dim, not quiet. Dark. completely lifeless. The houses looked brand new, clean, modern, untouched. But not a single porch light, not a lamp, not even the faint glow of a television. It felt staged, like a movie set. The address I had was the second-to-last house on the street. I parked, stepped out, walked up to the porch. No lights inside, no sound. Still, I knocked. The door shifted open slightly. It wasn't locked. A cold wave of air drifted out. "Sandwich delivery?" I called out. Silence. I pushed the door open just enough to see inside. An empty hallway, an empty room. No furniture, no decorations, not even dust patterns where something once stood. Just emptiness. Then the dust started floating into the air from inside. That house had been sitting untouched for a while. I stepped back, closed the door. Something wasn't right. As I walked back toward my car, I noticed it. A few houses down, a black car, headlights off, windows tinted. The same one. It hadn't been there when I arrived, and that's when the blood drained from my face. This wasn't coincidence anymore. I quickened my pace, almost to my car. Then I saw something, movement, in the reflection of the passenger window. I froze. My eyes shifted to the back seat. Something was blocking the rear window from the inside. It took 1 second for my brain to understand. Someone was in my car. I didn't think. I ran back toward the porch, and as I did, the back door of my car swung open. A man in all black jumped out, hood up, face hidden, but he didn't chase me. He ran to the black car instead, got in, and they drove off, just like that, like they had done this before. My hands were shaking as I called 911. When the police arrived, they told me something that made it worse. This entire street? Unoccupied, new builds, no residents, no electricity connected yet. And then they told me something else. There had been other reports, same pattern, fake name, fake address, delivery driver followed. But mine? Mine was the closest call. The man had been inside my car, waiting for me to get in, waiting for me to drive, waiting for the doors to lock. They still haven't caught him. And sometimes, when I'm stopped at a red light late at night, and a black car pulls up beside me, I don't look anymore, because I'm afraid of what I might see.
Last fall, I turned 16 and started my first job at a tiny family-owned pizza shop in town. Only 5, maybe 6 people worked there. I got the job because my best friend already worked there. I was the delivery driver, only during late hours. School kept me busy during the day. The night was quiet, slow, cold enough that most people stayed inside. Around 11 p.m., a call came in. My friend entered the order, a small pizza and a soda. I grabbed it and hit the road. The address, not far, 8 minutes away. The street hit me first. Potholes everywhere. Cracked, torn apart, completely uncared for. Our town wasn't perfect, but this street? Far worse than most. I drove carefully, avoiding every hole I could see. I arrived at the house, 2-story, wooden, old, uncared for, like the street itself. Strangely, the yard was full of fresh flowers, well tended. Oddly out of place. I parked at the bottom of the driveway, grabbed the pizza and soda, walked up the wooden steps to the porch. The steps felt like they might collapse. Something unsettling crawled over my skin. I glanced back at my car. Dense woods behind it. The isolation hit me fully. I knocked on the door. Inside, movement. Floorboards creaking softly. Light, deliberate steps getting closer. Closer, until I realized someone was right behind the door. I smiled, held out the pizza, and waited. Nothing. 10 seconds passed. I grew uncomfortable. "Hello, I'm the pizza guy, delivering your order." No response. Silence. I stepped back from the porch, hesitant to leave without payment. Then, I saw him. A man standing at the side of the house, staring straight at me, slowly walking toward the porch. Old, skinny, and his eyes cold, unnerving. I shivered, heart pounding. I ran to my car. He didn't speak, just watched. I drove back to the pizza shop as fast as I could. I didn't know who that man was. My friend thought it might be a prank, but he looked too old, too real. I was just glad I left when I did, because I don't know what would have happened if he had reached the porch.
The office intruder. Scene 1. Small startup office, night. I used to work as a security guard for a small startup. Honestly, I never really knew what they did. The office was tiny, almost unremarkable. Yet somehow they thought they needed a security guard. It made my job easy. One floor, few rooms, a quiet night. I arrived at 9 p.m., turned on the security alarm, and settled into the small monitoring room. Cameras were low quality and only outdoors, which meant nothing exciting happened for hours. Scene 2. The first strange sound. 1 a.m. Around 1 a.m., I heard it. A latch click. Confused, I stood and walked into the hallway. Everything was normal. 3 doors, all closed. I checked each one. Desks, chairs, nothing unusual. I shrugged it off, maybe I imagined it. The alarms didn't trigger, and the cameras didn't show any movement. I went back to my chair, leaving the hallway door open this time, just in case. Scene 3. The hallway door. Minutes passed. I was almost convinced it was nothing. Then a faint creak echoed down the hallway. A door slowly opening. My heart leapt. I crept forward. One of the office doors was cracked open. Nothing showed on the cameras. No alarms had gone off. Yet someone, or something, was inside. Scene 4. The office. I pushed the door wider, stepping into darkness. Shadows danced across the desks. Silence, until the corner of my eye caught movement. A figure, crouched under a desk. A man, black hair, dark, hollow eyes. A mix of fear and anger etched across his face. He froze, and I froze. Then, he started to rise. Scene 5. The escape. I didn't wait. I ran, out into the hallway, out the front doors. The alarms blared, automatically notifying the police. I kept a safe distance, heart hammering. 30 seconds later, the door swung open. The man ran out, circled the building, and vanished. Scene 6. The mystery. The police checked the security footage. Nothing. No sign of him entering. No clue how he got in. The company claimed they found nothing missing, knew nothing about the break-in. But hiring a guard for such a tiny office, it always felt like there was more to the story than they told me. I stayed a few more months, then quit, a better job, and the question still haunts me. Who was he? Why was he there? And most importantly, how did he get in? Some doors, some offices, should never be approached at night. It was the day after Christmas, during winter break. I worked part-time at the town pizza shop, a popular spot. Almost every kid from my school worked there. Being young,
Every paycheck felt like a fortune. I always agreed to work whenever they needed me. I thought the night would be quiet. Families at home, empty tables. I couldn't have been more wrong. By dinner, every table was full. Delivery orders kept pouring in. Around 8 p.m., my manager sent me out on deliveries. The roads, empty. Snow lightly falling under the streetlights. It was peaceful, almost too quiet. I drove slowly, trying to enjoy the calm, knowing what waited back at the shop. Eventually, I arrived at the house, far off the main road, down a long gravel path, surrounded by snow-covered trees. The Christmas lights glowed brightly outside, but inside, complete darkness. I noticed shoe prints in the snow leading to the porch, but they didn't go to the door. They curved around to the side. I shrugged it off, knocked. 30 seconds, silence. I knocked again, silence. 30 more seconds, still nothing. Shivering from the cold, I knocked one last time, loudly. Nothing. I turned back to my car, frustrated. The engine wouldn't start. It stalled repeatedly, my hands freezing. Then, I saw him. A figure standing near the house, fully bundled, boots, jacket, snow pants. Something was wrong. I called out, "Hey, did you order the pizza? I've been knocking." No reply. Just slow, deliberate steps toward my car. Panic set in. I realized he knew I couldn't leave. I dialed 911. Then he spoke, a deep, low voice. "Do you need help?" How did he know I was calling? Fear gripped me. He started moving faster, searching around, looking for something. He reached into his pockets, then punched the window in frustration. I held my breath, trapped in the tiny car, praying. 2 minutes later, flashing blue and red lights. The man appeared on the side of the house, holding something in his hand. He saw the lights and ran. Gone in an instant. Later I realized he hadn't lived there. The owners away for the holidays. He had plugged in their decorations to make it look like someone was home. And he had tampered with my car to keep me trapped. I don't know what he planned. Maybe a kidnapping. Maybe worse. Whatever it was, sheer luck and the police saved me. After that night, I never did another delivery.
The Warehouse Intruder. Scene 1. Exterior, warehouse, night, torrential rain. The rain poured relentlessly that September night, soaking the city in sheets of grey. I worked as an outdoor security guard for a warehouse on the outskirts. My shifts usually meant roaming the grounds, but tonight the storm pinned me inside. I leaned against the glass entrance doors, watching the rain streak the windows. Thunder growled, lightning flashed, and the night felt endless. Scene 2. Interior, warehouse, night. Hours passed slowly. I made trips to the bathroom, sipped lukewarm coffee, and tried to stay awake. Then it happened. A deep, creaking thud echoed through the warehouse, metal bending, or a heavy door scraping open. My skin prickled. Something in the air told me this was no ordinary sound. I grabbed my flashlight and walked down the main hallway, checking each corridor. The warehouse was usually empty at this hour, and most areas were unfamiliar to me. Scene 3. Interior, last corridor, night. At the end of the last hallway, a door cracked open. A chill ran down my spine. I hesitated, then pushed it wider. The room was pitch dark. "Hello?" I called. My voice bounced off the empty walls. Silence. Then, a faint sound. A voice. Soft. Almost a whisper, or maybe a quiet laugh, coming from the darkness near the tool shelving units. Who's there? I asked, my voice barely steady.
Come here,
the voice said, a little louder now.
Come here.
I couldn't see a thing. My heart raced, pounding in the silent, storm-lashed warehouse. Scene 4. Interior, warehouse, confrontation. I backed away slowly and closed the door. My hands shook. I grabbed my radio and contacted the police, leaving through the front entrance. 5 minutes later, officers arrived. They combed the building and left, seemingly disturbed. Scene 5. Security footage reveal. Later, the security tapes told the terrifying truth. A man, roughly 50, in a dark jacket, had slipped through a back garage gap. He made his way into the room where I'd heard him, holding what looked like a knife. And then, he vanished as quickly as he came. No one knows why he broke in, or why he told me to come closer. Scene 6. Aftermath. That night changed everything. The storm outside had stopped, but the fear stayed. I quit my night job, took a day shift. Some doors, some voices, should never be approached. It was a pretty typical night in the middle of March. I worked at a gas station back then. Usually I did afternoon shifts, but that night I covered the overnight. A call in the morning asked me to come in from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., overtime. I agreed. I took over for the manager and sat behind the front counter. The storm was brewing, but at first it kept most people home. The station was dead. After an hour, I grabbed my raincoat and ran outside. Loose things at the pumps needed to be brought inside. I ran back and forth, hauling them in. And then I saw him. A man, not far from the station, pacing on the side of the street, drenched, waiting for something or someone.